After Pope Francis announced Roman Catholic priests can administer blessings to same-sex couples, the Bishop of the Diocese of Ogdensburg is out with a statement. He's telling priests to use wisdom and even his guidance to avoid possible confusion and scandal. 7 News reporter Lexi Bruning has more.
Noon Mass commenced Tuesday at St. Patrick's Church in Watertown on the heels of a big announcement from the Vatican. Monday, Pope Francis formally approved letting Catholic priests bless same-sex couples. The document from the Vatican's Doctrine Office reads, quote, "Those seeking a blessing should not be required to have prior moral perfection." The Pope's concerned that those in same-sex relationships do not feel welcome in the Church. This is the latest gesture of outreach the Pope has made to welcoming LGBTQ+ Catholics. In the past, he's been quoted saying, "Being homosexual is not a crime." Father John Demo, pastor of the Blessed Sacrament Parish, says the blessings would not include rituals, clothing, and ceremonies associated with Catholic weddings.
In the context of imparting God's grace to anyone who asks for a blessing, it would be of that informal nature.
While the policy shift aims to make the Catholic Church more inclusive, its views on same-sex marriage haven't changed.
It just allows people who are in what is termed irregular relationships, whether they be same-sex or heterosexual relationships, to receive God's grace as they make their way through life.
When asked if he would give a blessing to a same-sex couple,
If they ask for a blessing, I would definitely give them a blessing.
Bishop Terry LaValle with the Diocese of Ogdensburg says pastors will need to use their best judgment in determining whether a blessing causes scandal and confusion among the faithful. Lexi Bruning, 7 News.